Hello everyone, I'm Robin Warner and I am driving a 2021 Honda Accord Hybrid Touring. And I'm a little freaked out because I've been driving for a while and this car hasn't shifted once. Is this thing magic? Or haunted? What was that? The 2021 Honda Accord Hybrid is a large car that seats 5 and comes in 4 trims: Base, EX, EXL, and Touring, which makes the Accord you see here the top trim in the lineup. That being the case, the Accord Hybrid Touring comes standard with 19-inch wheels, adjustable shock absorbers, head-up display, front ventilated seats, and rear heated seats. This particular Accord Hybrid also has the platinum white paint for $395. The Honda Accord Hybrid starts at $27,565. The Touring models start at $37,235, and my test car costs $37,590. The main competitors of the Accord Hybrid are the Hyundai Sonata Hybrid and the Toyota Camry Hybrid, which I recently reviewed and will be sure to include a link. The Accord Hybrid is powered by a 2-liter inline-4 and 2 electric motors, which together produce as much as 212 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque. That power goes through something Honda calls an e-CVT, which I will elaborate on in a minute, and onto the front wheels. It is 192.2 inches long, 73.3 inches wide, and 57.1 inches tall. The Honda Accord Hybrid Touring tips the scales at 3,415 pounds. This combination is good for 44 miles per gallon in the city, 41 on the highway, and 43 combined. This according to the EPA. However, if you get the base Honda Accord Hybrid, those numbers jump to 48 miles per gallon across the board. That's because the base car runs on smaller and narrower wheels and weighs 88 fewer pounds at 3,327. And I think it's great. I mean, honestly, this is a great car. Honda did some minor updates to the Accord for 2021, little things like they changed the shape of the front grille a little bit, they changed the styling, they made LED headlights and taillights more widely available, things like that. For the hybrid, which this is of course, they also played around with the tuning of it so that it operates a little bit more smoothly, a little bit more naturally. And by naturally, I think what Honda means is they made it to operate a little bit more like a conventional powertrain. And, you know, that's a neither here nor there in terms of actual objective improvements, but it is an improvement in terms of people's comfort level and their perception, which, if that makes it easier for more people to adopt hybrids, then I'm all for it, because the fact of the matter is, hybrids are becoming really the powertrain of choice for a myriad of reasons, certainly not just for the fuel conscious, whether it be environmental or cost savings. I drove a 2019 Honda Accord, and that is the same 10th generation pre-update, and I liked it a lot. That one had the 2-liter turbocharged engine, which is 252 horsepower, and I believe 273 pound-feet of torque. Plenty capable, good driving car. Really loved it in terms of what it provided for the price. And this Accord Hybrid really does the same, and maybe even a tiny touch more, because you get much of the same feel and you get a lot of the same amenities, I mean the exact same amenities basically, and you get really impressive fuel economy. Now, it's not impressive fuel economy full stop. There are ways to get better fuel economy, but given the other things you get, crash safety, luxury appointments, acceleration, etc., it's really good that you can crest 40 miles per gallon. in a car like this. But honestly, the single biggest reason why I liked the Honda Accord was because it was a car. And this is a car too. I like cars. I like cars a lot. And the fact that you can have so much driving enjoyment and all the useful things that the Accords provide, and still sit a little lower, have better center of gravity, and some engagement behind the wheel, that's such a huge win. Look, SUVs are great. I totally understand their practical value. I even own one. But when it comes to having something to drive every day and still have some usefulness and a bit of fun, a car is still the clear winner. So I love that. And then on top of that, Honda makes good cars. This provides all the practical things that cars provide, and then also provides some of that extra feel and engagement that driving enthusiasts look for. That didn't take long. That didn't take long at all. Honda, basically they said it takes about 6.5 seconds to reach 60 miles an hour. And that, you're basically looking at Honda Civic Si territory for that. Come on, that's decent. And when you have 212 horsepower, 232 pound-feet of torque, and that torque is available from effectively 0 RPM, you can get moving without much trouble at all. Now, it never shifts, and it never shifts because it doesn't have a transmission to shift. What Honda did, and they came up with this a few years ago, but they just keep continuing to refine it, is they have this 2 electric motor setup and then a wet clutch pack. So one motor is directly connected to the internal combustion engine, and that spins with the engine all the time. Then there's a clutch and a second motor. The second motor does all the hybrid propulsion, and it actually is what's propelling the vehicle down the road most of the time. The electric motor handles all the city driving and stuff like that. The only time when the internal combustion engine actually helps push the car along is when you're going more like highway speeds, and then it's just clutched. The clutch is engaged and it connects and it goes along just like a direct drive to the car. Now, it is a wet clutch pack. There can be some slip, and there is a little bit of variation. It's not necessarily always a locked clutch when the engine is engaged, but it's effectively the engine is either helping or it's not. And otherwise, it's pure electric motor moving this Accord hybrid around. And it's 181 horsepower on its own, and all of the torque that you feel is from the electric motor. 232 pound-feet is how much torque the electric motor makes on its own. And what that means is most of the time the engine is running, what it's doing is generating electricity. So that 0 to 60 number, in a lot of ways, really is from 181 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque, not the 212 horsepower that this thing has peak output. But it's a weird thing, but I kind of dig it, right? You can nerd out on something like this. This Honda Accord, this powertrain, has fewer moving parts than a non-hybrid powertrain because it doesn't have several gears and clutches and all those other things to operate, just so you can have different engine speeds so that the engine can work in different places. That's pretty brilliant, and I really love that about this car. It's just it's a really elegant solution to hybrids, and again, it takes full advantage of what the benefits of a hybrid are. And if you can get rid of moving parts, that's all for the better. But I digress. Sorry, it was a little bit of a tangent. I apologize. I just think it's a cool setup, and I wanted to talk about it a bit. The core thing is you've got large car interior space, which means plenty of room for your legs and shoulders and knees and everything in the front and in the back. If you go touring, the back seats get heated seats as well, and you've got all the modern infotainment stuff, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all those kinds of things, the wireless charging. The LED lights work really well. stuff like that. And you have more like key for driving. You have good supportive seats. I have good bolstering, connected the lumbar support, which I mentioned earlier, and you have really good engagement. You know, the steering's not alive in your hands like the old school hydraulic assisted is, but feedback is there, it exists, and the steering wheel has a real nice weighting to it. It's really precise and it's easy to place the car. The handling's really predictable. And this touring model, doesn't matter that it's a hybrid, this touring model has a sport mode, and that sport mode is legit because it's got adjustable dampers, so it properly stiffens up the car for you. And you can really sling it around and have less, you know, have reduced body roll. That's a nice little benefit. I mean, that's an attaboy, Honda. You don't need to give up all your driving enthusiast fun, even though it's a family sedan. When it comes to driving dynamics, this Honda is above average. When it comes to family sedan needs and wants, this Honda is above average. This is just a generally really satisfying car to drive. And the fact that it's hybrid means that you can have all these things and still get 40 miles to the gallon. And that's the downside, is that it's a little bit more expensive. But we're talking about the base hybrid is about $1,600 more than the base 1.5 liter turbocharged 1.5 liter Honda Accord. And with that extra $1,600, you get 20 more horsepower, 192 horsepower in the base car versus 212 here. And you get 40 more pound-feet of torque, 192 again versus 232. So you get a legit step up in power, and there's even a couple more amenities when you go hybrid as well. So the value argument is there. There's not a huge price penalty just for the hybrid powertrain alone. And then you get, if you go base, and you have to nurse it a little bit, you have to drive easy, but you're talking about nearly 50 miles to the gallon. And that's in a car with modern crash safety, modern amenities. And then going touring like I have heated and ventilated seats up front, all the things I mentioned before. This is a comfortable, quiet, luxurious place to be in a lot of ways. So let's go over a couple of hybrid objective truths. You get more power, more torque. You have an EV mode if you want to whir around quietly, and you get better than 40 miles to the gallon, and you're not spending much more money. We've gone past the point of hybrids can now keep up with regular cars. Hybrids are better powertrains. It's just a simple fact, and Honda builds a really nice hybrid. I'm Ryan Warner. Thank you for watching. By the way, it wasn't a ghost. It was that special transmission. I should mention that part. It was not a ghost. I confirmed this car is not haunted. At least I don't think. What was that?